Today on Inspired Money.
So many people out there, they have it all, but they're still unhappy. They still are fighting for that next goal because they have $1 million, but they're trying to make another million because what if they lose the first million? And they're driven by all this fear and shame around money, and it's eating away at them. It really starts with you being happy with yourself and knowing what you want, which most of the people don't know what they want. They may know what they want for their business or for their health, but they don't really know what their soul wants.
This is episode 41 with high-performing coach Nichole Carlson. Welcome to Inspired Money. My name is Andy Wong, a managing partner at RUNNYMEDE Capital Management. Each week, we bring you an interesting person to help you get inspired, shift your perspectives on money, and achieve incredible things. From making it to giving it away, Inspired Money means making a difference, creating something bigger than oneself, and maybe, just maybe, making the world a better place. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Inspired Moneymaker. I hope you're feeling very successful today. We're about to talk to Nichole Carlson, a life coach to high performers and entrepreneurs. She reached out to me, and she's had some really crazy life experiences, including a traumatic event that inspired big changes in her life. I thought it'd be great to introduce you to her story and see what her perspectives are on money. In this episode, you'll learn why finding yourself can be the start to other aspects of your life falling into place. Why making friends with money can result in money and happiness coexisting. And some tips from a coach who says that we can approach life with the belief that we can have it all. Now let's get inspired with Nichole Carlson. Nichole, welcome to Inspired Money. It's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Andy.
Let's jump right in. What's your earliest childhood memory of money?
Oh my gosh. So my dad was in the military, and I remember him being stationed in Germany, and it was my mom and my brother and myself, and I loved money. I loved money. I would take my dollar bills and I would go and iron them and fold them up into like perfect little squares. And I remember I didn't really know how to count money, but I knew how to count, and I knew how to I knew how many coins that I had and how many dollars I had, and I didn't know what they meant or anything. Well, what I didn't know was we were in real financial trouble because my dad wasn't there, and my mom didn't have a job, so we didn't have that much food, which I don't remember, but my brother remembers, and my mom was barely making it. And so I would count my money every day, and I noticed that my money was actually getting less and less. And I was like, what is going on? So I wrapped it up and I ended up sleeping with it. And my mom asked me about it. And I said, yeah, I have it here. And it's missing. Like I'm seeing like some of it go away. And she said, oh, I borrowed it. And she paid me back. She felt so bad. But we were really in a lot of we had a roof over our head, but we just didn't have enough food, and we just weren't making it. And then my parents actually, they were separated, and I didn't even know that. She kind of was good at making everything seem like it was okay and trying to protect my brother and I, but that was my earliest memory of money. And I didn't realize the whole situation of what was going on. So looking back, I see how that impacted me with fear of losing money. But I had no idea what that meant at the time.
That is really crazy. That's a crazy memory.
That is.
So today you are a you can have it all coach. And I love the sound of that. I love that title. But before we get into that, can you take us back like 20 years ago? I understand you say that you had it all on paper.
Yes. Oh gosh. So 20 years ago, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And okay, so I'm 41. And so 20 years ago, I was in college and I just picked a degree, which was in counseling. It was family science. Luckily, I picked the right degree, not knowing where I would end up. So I just picked a degree and went to college because that's what you were supposed to do. And then I found a boyfriend and we ended up getting married right after college because that's what you were supposed to do. And, obviously at first we were in love, but things kind of fell apart. And during our marriage, we both were. Oh, I got a second degree in software engineering, so we were both software engineers. We made a lot of money. We had the perfect life. We had the cars and we had the house and everything. And there's nothing that I could really point my finger at that I could say I'm unhappy about this, which was frustrating. Because I was really, really unhappy, even though I had everything and we were taking nice vacations. I just didn't know why I was unhappy. And of course, I do what most people in a relationship do, and I point the finger. Well, it must be him. It was part him, but it was really mostly the fact that I didn't know what I wanted for myself. So I know what it's like to have the money, the success, the house, the husband, and to still feel like there is something missing and not have the joy, the passion, and the excitement in my life.
So what was missing? Is it purpose?
Yes. If you're going to boil it down to that, it's definitely purpose. But it was more, there was a whole journey to get to that idea of purpose, right? For me, I had to figure out what I wanted on a very fundamental level. What I wanted.
Because it wasn't software engineer.
Okay, I know that is my path, and I was supposed to do that, but that doesn't align with me, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, I knew that I wanted to make money, of course, but I didn't know how to find my purpose and make money. And so I just started with, what do I want on a fundamental level? I decided I didn't want anything that I had, so I got a divorce and I sold my house, and then I quit my job one day and I sold my car an hour later, and then the next day I was on a one-way ticket to Spain.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was this a process that was building up, or was there a sudden defining moment?
There was. So it was both. It was there was tension in my relationship, and it kept getting worse and worse. And then my mom ended up getting sick. She got cancer when she was 47. And I listened to her talk about all these things that she still wanted to do. And we had traveled a lot growing up, and she had been to Germany. She had gone to England with my dad. They got back together. They were separated for a little bit, and then they got back together. But my mom still did a lot of things in her life, but there was still so much she wanted to do. And I was 27 at the time, thinking, oh my God, if I only live to 47, that's not much time. And so after she passed away, I felt like she gave me this calling on my life. And I didn't know like to what extent, but I knew that I needed to start figuring out what I wanted, and I needed to start making my own decisions for what I wanted instead of just following something like the blueprint of the American dream. So that was the defining moment, knowing how short life is and knowing that I don't feel like I lost her. I feel like I was given this mission, which I didn't know at the time, but it was a mission to find myself so that I could find my purpose. So I ended up traveling for off and on for about 10 years.
How did you decide to go to Spain?
Oh my gosh. Well, because I wanted to backpack Europe. Right after my divorce, or while my divorce was finalizing, I ended up going to Peru for 6 weeks. So it wasn't actually the first trip. And then I wanted to backpack Europe. So I picked Spain because, well, logically, that was the cheapest one-way ticket that I could get to Europe. And so I booked it for $300. And I figured, I can go anywhere from Spain. This was my logic at the time.
Well, that part makes sense to me.
So I ended up going to Spain, but then I went to Portugal and Italy and England and Holland and Ireland and, just all over. And I ended up staying there for 9 months and just, that trip. Then I kept going back and traveling other places too. But it was a lot of finding myself and building up my own confidence that I could do anything, because the way I traveled was pretty much no plans. I had a backpack. I didn't do hotels. I just kind of winged it.
Were you traveling alone most of the time?
Yes, I did travel alone. But when you travel alone, you actually are always traveling with people, because you find people in hostels, you find people on trains and boats, and you meet people, and it's just so much more social that way. And then you end up finding people that you travel with too.
Right, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
But 10 years, well, here's my question. How did you finance 10 years of traveling?
Okay, so to finance that, I was still going back to software engineering, which was soul crushing, because every time I'd go and travel and be this free, I'd come back and get a contract job, which every time I was like, oh, good, this is only 6 months. Oh, good, this is only 9 months. So I kept going back and forth from contract jobs in software engineering to traveling. And so every time one would end, I would just book another ticket. So I moved to Hawaii one time and went to Central America one time. And that's how I carried that on.
Yeah, sounds super interesting. I mean, it sounds like you're trapped in a vicious cycle, though.
I was. And I had so much anxiety about it, because every time, like, I hated going back to the software engineering jobs. And every time I went back, I had pushed out software engineering from my mind. So I had to restudy like it was my first job. And it was so stressful. But I knew that I wasn't supposed to be a software engineer. And I knew that I couldn't sustain that, because, 10 technology goes so fast. And if you're leaving for even like 2 or 3 months and coming back and hoping to get a job in technology and pick up where you left off, you know, you're in for some real surprises. So I had all this anxiety, and then I got this last job. All my jobs seemed to be getting easier and easier, which was fortunate for me. And this last job, I kind of settled down in Austin because I love Austin. And I knew that I had to figure out my life, like what it would look like if I stayed. Right. Mm-hmm. So because I knew I couldn't keep doing this. So I got an apartment, I got a boyfriend, I got a quote unquote permanent job. We all know there's no permanent anything. So I got this permanent job and I settled down, I guess you could say. And I just I searched for like what my life would be like here. And so I started taking improv lessons and guitar lessons and, drum lessons, and discovering myself and dance lessons, and discovering myself in one place. And I had never been that, like, I had never taken like music lessons or dance lessons or anything like that. And I'd never been involved in too much sports growing up because I hated sports growing up. And
did you have interest in those things, or were you doing those deliberately to push yourself out of your comfort zone?
Both. I was interested in doing those, but I was really scared. I was scared to take guitar lessons. I was definitely scared of improv lessons. But for some reason, the reason I took improv lesson is because I knew that I needed to get over my fear of public speaking, because I knew that somewhere in my life, I was going to be a public speaker in some form or fashion. And I was deathly afraid of public speaking, which is funny now. But, and I tried Toastmasters, and I was like, this is too scary. So I started with improv and kind of got over a lot of my fears, but I still had ways to go. So I really discovered myself in one place and pushed myself, and everything that I went to, I was scared to do, but I just did it anyways. And I still, like, most of the people that I know are like, you do more than anyone I know. And, of course I have been doing bodybuilding for the last 15 years. And I started doing bodybuilding competitions as well.
Yeah. You have a big one coming up?
Yeah. I'm doing the Texas Shredder on September 8th. And so I'm doing a lot of training for that. It's a lot of work, a lot of meal prep and gym time.
Yeah, I see like this big contrast between one, it's like you're going through this 10-year process of traveling, doing contract work, trying to find yourself, and I don't know, like maybe there's like a lack of discipline there, but then there's the side of you that's training for these competitions that requires tremendous discipline.
Yeah. I actually, this is my whole thing. For me, something like I call this flipping the switch, and I talk about this, and this is kind of my tagline: flip the switch, right? So there's something happened inside of me that flipped the switch, that I needed to leave my marriage and go find myself. And then again, after I went through a lot of my travels near the end of that 10 years, I had another switch that got flipped. And I realized, like, when I was here one time, here in Austin, I was depressed, and I was like, I need to figure out more of my life. So I, I, all I had was this Tony Robbins tape that somebody had lent me, or I guess MP4, MP4 tape. You can tell how old I am. And I thought, I can either do nothing and stay depressed, or listen to this Tony Robbins guy, which I don't want to do. And so I chose to listen to Tony Robbins, and it was time of my life. And he just said so many things that made sense. And so I decided to start building my life. And that's when I started signing up for the guitar lessons, the drum lessons, the improv lessons. When I started working on my business and like going all in and hiring coaches and taking courses, I went from, I don't know what I want to do, and accepting that, to, okay, I don't know what I want to do, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to go all in on figuring that out.
Nichole, you mentioned to me at one point that you were homeless. When did that happen?
So it was on my Spain trip. I felt like, and this totally goes back into money. I felt like I was just so resentful of all that we had, and that I felt like the more we had in my marriage, my ex-husband and I felt like the more that we had, the further we got from each other. And I was so resentful. And so that's one of the reasons why I walked away. But during my trip, when I was actually in England, I ended up being homeless for about a month. And that was really because of my money mindset, because I blamed money for me losing the love of my life. And I was pretty adamant. Like I was homeless, and I was happy, and I had friends that were also homeless, and I was eating out of dumpsters, and it was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be happy because I don't need money to be happy, which yes and no. Yes and no. So I did that for about a month, but I was standing in line at a soup kitchen, and I thought to myself, you know what? This is fun and all. This is an experience, because I knew it wasn't going to be forever. This is an experience, and I don't need money, but I have a choice. Do I want to still have this money mindset, this lack mindset, and be bitter and angry toward money? Or do I want to take action and build my life with the knowledge that, you know what, you can have it all, or you can have nothing, and you can be happy both ways. And so I chose at that time to build my life the way I wanted, and to be happy, and make friends with money once again. Because I know that you can be rich and you can be happy, whatever your definition of rich is, right? Or you can be homeless and you can be happy. And I know that so many people out there, they have it all, but they're still unhappy. They still are fighting for that next goal because they have $1 million, but they're trying to make another million, because what if they lose the first million? And they're driven by all this fear and shame around money. And it's eating away at them. And there's so many people with relationships that could be great relationships, but they are doing what I did, where they're blaming their partner. And okay, yes, there is some blame to go around, but it really starts with you being happy with yourself and knowing what you want, which most of the people don't know what they want. They may know what they want for their business or for their health, but they don't really know what their soul wants.
Coming up, Nichole digs deeper into balancing business, relationships, health, and yourself. But she says it all starts with defining what makes you happy.
I think we're so disconnected from that because we're taught to follow the leader, sit down, shut up, follow orders. And all of that is teaching us not to trust ourselves because we're always looking for external validation. And so we're not going internally to ask ourselves what we really want.
The show notes for this episode can be found at inspiredmoney.fm/041. In addition to our guest's bio and links, we're slowly adding complete transcripts so you can refer to the text if you want to go back to reference what we talked about. And don't forget to join us at the Inspired Money Facebook group at inspiredmoney.fm/Facebook. It's time for the Runnymede tip of the week. Since we're talking about money and happiness, here's a little adjustment in the way that you say things. Too often we think or say, when I have more money, I'll be happier. Unfortunately, this just isn't true because it's a moving target. Due to lifestyle inflation, that's the tendency to increase your spending when your income goes up. The perfect amount of money always seems to be just out of reach or a little bit higher than what we have now. It's better to say, I know what I want my life to look like. Money can allow me to do more of those things, and I should start doing them right now. The goal is not to have more money just for the sake of having more. It's more important to figure out your purpose and meaning. It's true that money can't buy happiness. Therefore, set goals that align with your vision. Do things that make you happy and that can make a bigger impact. Budget your money accordingly, get started, and keep moving forward on your goals. I think you'll find this to be a better way of getting more done. That's the Runnymede Money Tip of the Week. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe now wherever you listen so you won't miss any upcoming episodes. If you could please share a favorite Inspired Money episode with a friend, there's no better way to help grow our community. I'd really appreciate it. Inspired Money is brought to you by Runnymede Capital Management. That's RUNNYMEDE. We help you to plan, invest, and worry less. Learn more about us and educate yourself for free by subscribing to our blog at inspiredmoney.fm. You're listening to Inspired Money. I'm Andy Wong. So tell me, what did you learn so that we can save our listener from going on a 10-year soul-searching midlife crisis? What can you distill your experience to? What did you learn?
I learned that you don't have to choose between, I didn't have to choose between going and traveling and my ex-husband. I could have changed everything at home. I could have started with myself. I could have started figuring out what I wanted and bringing back the passion in our, rebuilding the trust and bringing back the passion in our relationship, finding out more about what I wanted as a person and starting there. But for so many of us, and in the story, the hero's journey, right? He always goes out from where he is, goes on this huge journey, and then he always comes back to the beginning, right?
Yep.
He always comes back. So it is where you are. And most people don't see that. So you can have it all. It all starts with you figuring out what you want and this is what I take my clients through, like figuring out what they want in their business, which a lot of the people that I talk to, they're like, oh, I pretty much know what I want in my business, right? Money, right? And some other things. And then figuring out what you want in your relationship, and then figuring out what you want in your health, and then figuring out what you want like on an emotional level. And so many people think that they can't have all 4 areas. They think it's either business or their health. So you see this so many times with entrepreneurs. We sacrifice our health. We feel like we have to sacrifice our relationships. And all that isn't true. And that's why I tell people, you can have it all. You can be happy. You can feel more energetic. You can have more passion in your relationships, because I know from experience.
So how does one balance those 4 things? Because inevitably, it's got to be cyclical, right? You're not going to have all 4 going all at the same time, or can you?
You can, but it is, for me, for most people, they have one area of their life that everything else depends on. One decision that they need to make. For me, the thing that I pretty much always had since I was 25 was my health. I was always into bodybuilding. So that was one thing that I knew what I wanted. And it's about putting the focus on one area that's going to make all the difference. And for a lot of people, it's like, I need more money, right? So whatever that area is, you focus on that area and then build out the other areas. But you need all 4 areas at all times. You cannot build out your business and neglect yourself. You cannot take care of, like, I see this so many times in relationships and marriages and relationships. They take care of the relationship, but they neglect themselves. So you always have to be aware of all 4 areas and check in either daily or weekly or monthly on the things that you want and make sure that you're going toward those things. So it's just like in the morning, people talk about setting intentions, right? This is the same kind of thing where you think about like what you want for your day. Okay, so in my relationship, I want to feel more passion. So you plan a date. In my health, I want to feel more energy. So you go on a walk. It's the thing of it is, it starts with the very small things. The small things make up the big things. And we think that we have to aim for this huge goal of like maybe competing in a bodybuilding competition, when really we need to start with where we are. What do we want for today? And doing that on all 4 areas every day, if we start from where we are, it makes it so much easier.
So just make it to your morning workout for today.
Yeah.
Right? Or go to your guitar lesson if you're focusing on yourself.
Right. So you just ask yourself, what do you need for yourself to feel good? Or what do you need to feel healthy? Or what do you need for your relationship? And then focus on that. And it also makes your to-do list a lot easier, because if you're focusing on intention, you don't have to go to the gym. You could just eat one thing over another. You could eat a salad over, I'm not a big salad person, but you could eat something healthy over a donut, and so it's just making better choices and always making improvements on that.
So you're building your business now, Flip the Switch. I know that you're doing some really interesting things like a Facebook Live video show. What are you trying to accomplish with the show? And how regularly are you publishing?
I'm really trying to have fun. I'm trying to have fun. Two, of course, I'm always talking to clients, potential clients, people out there that need to hear this message. And I really want to connect with people and meet people. And so the people that I have on there are people that I want to, network with or get to know better. And really, I've got to have fun. I've got to have fun. I know that work can be, I'm not above, the discipline and repetitiveness and of work, because I do all that. But you've got to be enjoying your life, and so, and I enjoy talking to people. So I thought this would be the perfect way to do both.
And what is fun for you, since it looked like early on, very clearly, the computer science was not?
Fun for me is I love variety, which is why I traveled to so many places, couldn't stay put, took guitar lessons, drum lessons, improv lessons. I do a variety of things in my business, but fun for me is anything that will allow me to laugh and smile and relax and just being around people, being around music, dancing. I love the gym. I love the gym, which is crazy how much I love it. So I do love the discipline too. But I really, I don't think we laugh enough, and I don't think we realize how much fun life can be.
It sounds like you're really trying to help people to either become high performers or, I guess, become better high performers.
Yeah.
When you look at your 4 areas, is it self, business, health, and relationships?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see that most people are lacking in a specific area, or is it different for everybody?
It is definitely different for everybody. It depends, if you're an athlete, that's going to be your number one. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and so that's their number one. Usually they're strong in one area, but they're lacking in the 3 other areas. And if they're strong, here's what I do is I help them flip the switch so that they're strong in the area of self. Because if you are a leader for yourself, then the other 3 areas are going to naturally work themselves out. And so that's what I see is needed for most people, is to work on what they want and start moving towards that.
So you think self is most important?
Yeah, because it changes everything when we work on that level. So when I work with somebody with their business, we always go to self first, because a lot of times they're doing things in their business that don't align with what they want. We work on what they want, and that naturally works out their business, obviously, because that's what we're focused on, but it naturally works out their relationships to a big degree, and their health. We don't even talk about health. We don't talk about diet or exercise, but they just start doing that. And then they tell me while I'm working with them that, hey, about a month ago, I started eating better and I've lost this weight. And I'm like, how did that happen? And it's just, one, they're in my company, and, you kind of match the company that you're in. And then 2, it's just a natural part of the process. So yeah, working on yourself is number 1. But then, like I said before, there's an area that you need to make a decision in. there's an area of the other three.
Now that you're working with entrepreneurs, how has your relationship with money changed?
I wouldn't be where I am now if I was resentful toward money, because I wouldn't be allowing money into my life. And I think that's something that a lot of people have, is a bad relationship with money, where they want money, but they're also blocking it. Like they're blocking receiving it. So they can't get clients, or they can't get to they don't know how to expand their business, even though they see other people with the same business models. They don't that are making more, and they know it's possible. They don't know how, because they're actually blocking the money. Right now, personal growth is so talked about, and you think that you have this awareness of where you are, and a lot of people will come to me and say, well, I know all about personal growth. I've done all these courses, and I know all this about money mindset, and yet I still even point out I can still point out what's going on for them. Like, I actually coached a money mindset, she actually calls herself a money mindset coach, and she's great, obviously, and she does a great job. But I was able to point out to her one of her blocks. And so it just goes to show you that no matter where you are, there is always room for growth. And if you're not where you want to be in life, whether it's you're not making the money, or you're not at that next level, or you're not winning those competitions, wherever it is, if you're not where you want to be, then there's something blocking you. And if you may have some idea what it is, but really you probably don't know. You probably don't know. That's why I have coaches for everything, because you need that validation. Like, once you figure out what you want and you're going to go for it, you need that guidance and that validation. So I hired 8 coaches.
Wow.
in January. But because I needed to know, I needed that expert advice. They were different coaches for everything. They weren't overlapping. But I needed that guidance, because I know that I am coaching high performers, and that they want it all. And so I can't slack off. I've got to be my best, and I have to find the things that are blocking me, because even though I think that I can see for myself what's blocking me, I can't tell you how much growth I have gone through every single week since January. It's just incredible. Like, every week I feel like a different person. And so for me and all the things that I've been through, having it all, having the American dream, and then being homeless and building businesses and traveling for 10 years. And for me to say, you know what, I still don't know so much, and to hire those coaches to guide me and to grow as much as I did, it just goes to show you that, like, there's so much more potential for everyone.
Yeah, that's hugely valuable. I've got to ask you, since you've had 8 coaches since January, can you have too many coaches at the same time? Because your time is limited.
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so yes and no. So as long as they do not overlap, you're fine. That's my belief, okay? And as long as you know what you want, specifically what you want in each area. Okay, so those 2 things, you have to know what you want specifically, and they can't overlap, because you can't serve 2 gods, right? And the other thing is, when you work with a coach, it actually saves you time. So because I had these coaches, I had so much free time, because I would just go to my coach, check in with them every day, or whenever or once a week. And I would get my homework, and then I would do the homework, and then I'd be done and I'd have time. So a great example of this is when I did the comparison of when I did my first bodybuilding competition and when I did my second one. Okay. And you can apply this to business or weight loss or whatever. But when I did my first bodybuilding competition, I was a mess. I was out of my mind, a disaster, stressed out, overworked, overwhelmed. And literally, I would sit in my software engineering. This is not a good confession. I would sit in my software engineering job for 2 to 3 hours a day researching. For 12 weeks, I did this every single day, researching the diets, what I was eating, what I should change, what I should work out, how I should work out, how much time I should spend in the sauna. So I would research 2 or 3 hours every single day for 12 weeks, making myself crazy. And then after that, I had to go to the gym and do all that stuff. And on top of that, I was changing my plan almost every day. So really, when I went for my second competition, it was completely different. She gave me my assignment. She said 20 minutes of cardio. She said 45 minutes in the gym, work on this body part or that body part. And I was in and out of the gym, in less than an hour and a half. And I only spent that much time per, at the gym. And then I got free time. And so really, when we're stressed out, overwhelmed, and have this anxiety, it's because we don't have the guidance. We don't have someone saying, okay, I've been here. You don't need to stress out. Don't worry. Here's all you need to do is this. And so that's what it's been like for me since January, and I've been through so much growth that there's times when I am emotionally drained and I will spend like a whole day journaling and crying because a lot of things will come up. But every time it comes up, it's like the deeper level. But I had time to do that because I knew that I was getting my work done and that I was making progress in every area. And so it gave me so much peace of mind.
So you've been through so much of your own personal development and personal growth. And then on the flip side, you're also working with clients to help them and guide them to do the same. Nichole, how do you define success?
I define success as feeling like I am making progress in my life and being happy. So if I can wake up every day and be able to laugh and smile and be happy with my life, okay, maybe even I have a serious day but I'm still happy. If I can do that and know that I'm growing and that I'm making progress and that I'm making a difference in this world, then that to me is success.
I love that because sometimes it is big things that are pushing you forward, but other times it's just simple things that make you happy or bring a smile.
Absolutely.
Do you have an inspired money tip that you can share with our listeners that's had a big impact on your life?
Yeah, I would say that money is going to always come. Like money will always be there. But our experiences, the chance to experience things, the chance to be with people, that goes away. But money will always be there. And so if you really want to be happy, it's to focus on what you have now and to enjoy that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your personal experience and the transformations that you've gone through. You really do have a very unique path. Where can people find out more about you and more about what you're doing?
They can find me on my website. It's NicholeCarlson.com, and also on my Facebook. And then I have a Facebook page with my show, Flip the Switch. It's been so good talking to you, Andy.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for having me.
What was your favorite inspired money moment? I like that back when she was homeless and resentful of money, Nichole came to the realization that she had a choice. She could either have a negative money mindset or build her life and have money and be happy. And you should consider finding happiness by figuring out what your soul wants. If you had a different favorite inspired money moment from me, visit inspiredmoney.fm/Facebook and let me know in our Facebook group. Get articles and a sneak peek behind the scenes. Please join the conversation there. I also recently got Inspired Money stickers. Post in the Facebook group or shoot me an email if you want a free sticker to stick on your laptop, refrigerator, or wherever you want to show off to friends that you're inspired to live a richer life with more meaningful money. All the music on today's show is by Jim Kimo West. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an inspired week and do something that scares you.